Over the past year, the U.S. military has targeted and killed several high-ranking Al-Qaeda leaders in the tribal regions of Pakistan. It's the latest area used by the terrorists to plan attacks against the West. Now, the group may already be turning to Plan B. The nation of Yemen contains neighborhoods familiar to Al-Qaeda, rugged, mountainous, and extremely tough to govern.
The Yemeni government, unfortunately, does not have a lot of control over the country. They have control over Sana'a and just right around the capital, and that's about it. And the rest of the country is pretty much lawless.
Terrorism expert Rudy Attallah has worked extensively in the Arab and Muslim world. He says Yemen's instability has allowed Al-Qaeda to establish a foothold.
It's easy to buy weapons in Yemen. You can go to any arms bazaar and pick up anything you want. People flow in and out of there quite a bit.
Yemen shares a porous 1,000-mile border with Saudi Arabia to the north. Its long coastline is also a challenge to patrol, and as a result, Somali refugees often land from the nearby Horn of Africa. Although Saudi jihadists have frequently crossed into Yemen, Al-Qaeda remains a largely homegrown phenomenon there.
We subscribe to the theory that poverty and a weak economy will breed terrorism. Not a lot of people would subscribe to this, but we do.
Mohammed al-Basha is a spokesman for the Yemeni embassy in Washington.
Yemen, 70% of the population is under the age of 25. 40% live under poverty line. And from that 40%, 20% live under $1 a day. And on top of all that, our oil reserves have depleted and the oil production is depleted. With all these factors, it's very challenging for the government to face the radicalization process.
Yemen and Al-Qaeda share a troubled history. It was off the coast of Yemen in 2000 where suicide bombers killed 17 U.S. sailors on the USS Cole. Yemeni fighters flooded into Iraq after the U.S. invasion in 2003, and some 100 of the 240 remaining inmates at Guantanamo Bay Prison call Yemen home. The latest incident saw 16 people killed last year when suicide bombers targeted the U.S. Embassy in the capital city of Sana'a.
We're losing revenue from tourism. Ships are not coming to our ports because they're afraid of landmines, sea mines, and suicide attacks on the water. We're losing income from investments because foreign companies don't want to come invest when you have a threat from such Al-Qaeda.
The radicalization process in Yemen usually begins from within, as extremist clerics target the country's large pool of unemployed young men. These clerics' reputation reaches far beyond Yemen. The American terrorist who killed a U.S. soldier outside an Army recruitment center in Arkansas this year had traveled to Yemen to study jihad.
The homegrown problem is a group of folks that are disgruntled with the Yemeni government and also want to see their brand of Sharia law dominate.
The Yemeni government has tried several different measures to counter the jihadist ideology. In 2007, it produced The Losing Bet, a film that aimed to warn Yemenis about the dangers of Islamic extremism. Some terrorists have also been placed in a government-run rehabilitation program that seeks to turn them away from radicalism.
If you have blood in your hands, you're going to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But if you don't have blood in the lands, we're conspiring, or we caught you in an early stage, we want to give you also a future.
But U.S. officials have questioned the program's effectiveness. They've also criticized Yemen for releasing terrorists, some wanted in the U.S., from prison. In 2006, 23 Al-Qaeda suspects escaped from a Yemeni prison. Most were eventually recaptured, but the incident strained relations between Yemen and the U.S.
The U.S. has increased its foreign aid to Yemen, but the Yemeni government has kind of dragged its feet on really going after Al-Qaeda.
Still, al-Basha says the relationship between the two countries remains solid.
The U.S. also have helped us train our counterterrorism units, helped us with logistics. We share security and intelligence information, and it's been very steady, and the cooperation is good.
Yemen would like to see more U.S. money to help its counterterrorism efforts, but Attallah says that won't guarantee better results.
We can throw a lot of money at a problem. It doesn't mean that the host nation is going to do the right thing.
9 Christian missionaries were kidnapped in northern Yemen in June. 3 of them were killed and the other 6 are still missing. Critics say the incident calls attention to the increasing destabilization inside Yemen, with the country facing an insurgency by Shiite rebels in the north and similar breakaway efforts in the south. The situation there could go downhill quickly, providing Al-Qaeda with a chaotic atmosphere it may deem irresistible. Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News, Washington.